What was noticeably different, however, was how those people reacted to their experience. Some felt it had, somehow, made them special and were only too willing to talk about it, often at great length. Others were very matter-of-fact, almost blasé about what had happened. The majority were somewhat embarrassed and showed a marked reluctance to talk about something that they were convinced would single them out as slightly eccentric and decidedly odd. It happened to a friend. Another aspect of my research that I encountered as I toured Britain's haunted places was what I came to recognize as the happen to a colleague syndrome. These were the second-hand accounts related to me by friends or family of those who had come into contact with ghosts. I found it rather amusing how these stories were often climaxed with the statement that he or she was stone-cold sober at the time, or the way in which the witness was often described as very pragmatic, the last person you'd ever expect to see this kind of thing. What is a ghost? But there's the rub. What is the kind of person that might see this kind of thing? And, for that matter, what exactly is this thing that we call a ghost? The concise Oxford Dictionary says that a ghost is an apparition of a dead person which is believed to appear to the living, typically as a nebulous image. And I suppose that's how most of us would define it. Do you believe in ghosts? When my first book about haunted places, Walking Haunted London, was published, a question I was often asked was, "Do you believe in ghosts?" I became very intrigued by my possible answer, since it forced me to think, what exactly is a ghost? Are ghosts simply psychic imprints? Surprisingly, in all my years of collecting ghost stories, I had never really stopped to contemplate this very basic question. I honestly do not believe that ghosts are the spirits of the dead coming back to haunt the living. My own opinion is that spirits, wraiths, revenants, specters, phantoms, call them what you will, are emotional imprints or reportings that have been left on the surroundings of various haunted places, and that certain people, who we call psychic, are simply more attuned to their wavelength than the rest of us. Investigating haunted places. And yet, ghosts continue to baffle, fascinate, or outright terrify those who chance upon them. As I write these words, Hampton Court Palace has called upon the services of parapsychologist Dr. Richard Wiseman to see if he can explain why several visitors have been taken ill and fainted at the spot where the ghost of Henry VIII's fifth wife, Catherine Howard, has long been said to appear. What type of person sees ghosts? In addition to planning all-night vigils, throughout which thermal imaging cameras will be pointed at the spot, Dr. Wiseman plans to canvass around 600 visitors in an attempt to pinpoint the character type most likely to report ghostly sightings. And yet, the weight of evidence clearly demonstrates that ghosts do not appear to any specific type of person. They are elusive and baffling, often choosing to appear before those who least expect to see them, and indeed, those whom you would least consider to be the type of person who would see them. Haunted places in Ireland. The Irish poet W.B. Yeats aptly summed up this spectral conundrum. Yeats was a great believer in spirits, and accompanied by his friend Lady Gregory, he devoted a great deal of time to collecting and publishing the true ghost stories of the ordinary men and women. He used one argument which was sound, and I have never forgotten it. It is the fact that it is not abnormal men like artists, but normal men like peasants, who have borne witness 1,000 times to such things. It is the farmers who see fairies. It is the agricultural laborer who calls a spade, who also calls a spirit a spirit. It is the woodcutter with no axe to grind, who will say he saw a man hang on the gallows and afterwards hang around it as a ghost. Science and ghosts. Hundreds, if not thousands, of scientific attempts have been made to analyze and explain ghosts. The results rarely, if ever, prove conclusive, and the appliance of science to the tale of a haunting does, in my opinion, detract from what a ghost story really is. A ghost story is an opportunity for us to connect with our past, to feel once again the fear and excitement of our long-ago ancestors who inhabited a hostile and dangerous planet. to experience for ourselves the art of the storyteller. Anne Boleyn's ghost. Few people can truly believe that Anne Boleyn's headless ghost gallops in a black carriage drawn by headless horses around the grounds of Blickling Hall in Norfolk. But to tell the story on a tempest-tossed winter's night, as the wind and rain rattle the windows, with only a lone candle for light, is to summon up the true magic of the oral tradition. I venture that most people would rather hear the tale of Catherine Howard's screeching ghost racing along the haunted gallery of Hampton Court Palace than would be interested in the statistics of light, humidity, and temperature at the same spot over an 8-hour period. Best haunted places for ghost stories. True ghost stories are, in my opinion, an integral part of Britain's heritage. They have no place in the cozy and certain world of academia, but belong in the children's playground, the local pub, sundry other windswept haunted places, and of course, the popular imagination. Many ghost stories do not stand up to scientific, nor for that matter, historical analysis. And yet, in an age of space travel, computers, and mass communication, their popularity is increasing rather than declining. True ghost stories. Assembled on this website, you will find a very personal collection of the various haunted places around England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. From the outset, my main problem has not been which of the haunted places should be included, but rather which of them should be left out. I began with details of over 3,000 haunted places, of which I visited around 1,200. From those, I selected what I considered to be the most entertaining and varied tales. I was conscious of the fact that I could easily end up with a nebulous procession of white, pink, blue, and gray ladies parading across the website, and so in most cases, I have tried to record the circumstances behind the hauntings. Haunted places to visit. Aside from entertainment value, my only other criteria for inclusion was that they must be places could visit. Thus, with very few exceptions, every location listed in this collection of true ghost stories is open to the public. I apologize to the modernists of the genre for the exclusion of supermarket, bingo hall, or laundrette hauntings. I am not a paranormal investigator, but rather a collector of folklore. To me, ghosts belong on windswept moors, in old ruined castles, ancient inns, or stately homes. I have reported the stories more or less as they have been told to me by the people who know the various haunted places best, and I have made few attempts to explain why they happen. Rather, I have been more than content to just accept that they do. I,